Hello, welcome one and all to another episode of the A2theK Wrestling Show. As always, it's my honor, my duty, if you will, to talk about Monday Night Raw. And on This Week in Wrestling, we're going to kick off with Raw. And the card this week.
It's the toughest 3 hours in wrestling, guys.
It is.
Strap yourselves in, get yourselves a drink.
I mean, that doesn't do it enough justice, really. It's the only 3 hours in wrestling, but still, it's really fucking bad. So the card for this week consisted of Lashley issuing an open challenge.
There you go.
McIntyre accepts.
Of course, you issue an open challenge. Is going to be the guy you fought like
No.
3 fucking times already.
I meant it was an open challenge to anyone but you. You can't do it. I don't like you.
I'm kind of with Lashley on this one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Had your turn. Back of the queue.
We will come on to this next week because we're certainly not a day in the future. But still, so McIntyre accepts and Lashley's like, no, you dickhead, you dickhead, no, dickhead. So, yeah, so that happens.
Quality.
Then we get AJ Styles taking on Elias, in which AJ Styles wins via DQ. We have Riddle asking Randy Orton to apologize to the New Day for what happened the previous week. He doesn't do it, though. We have Alexis Playground with the new women's tag team champions, and that's awkward, and they leave halfway through, so that's cool. We have Angel Garza taking on Drew Gulak, and Garza picking up the win. Tozawa wins the 24/7 title.
And what's that? Yep, no one cares.
Yeah, he's probably lost it by now as well, but still that happens. Kofi Kingston takes on Randy Orton, and I believe, even though I've not put an actual winner on here, Kofi Kingston picks up the win.
Yeah, because we're going to head towards Kofi being in the main event scene again, because that went well the first time.
Exactly. Then we have the women's tag team titles on the line. Natalya and Tamina took on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler in a rematch, and the new champions defend. So,
do you know what though? I did not get enough of these 4 involved in a match. I really hope we get it again at some point this week,
like several times if we can. We then had Sheamus taking on Ricochet, with Sheamus picking up the win. We had Charlotte taking on Asuka, with Asuka picking up the win. We had Damian Priest taking on John Morrison with actual human lumberjacks this week. And
they had more lumberjacks?
More actual lumberjacks that weren't zombies.
Aye.
And the main event of the evening, the person who answered Bobby Lashley's open challenge that wasn't allowed to be Drew McIntyre was Kofi Kingston, even though he'd already wrestled previously. And Kofi Kingston picked up the win again. For some reason, Drew McIntyre helped him, even though, I don't really know. But that was the show.
Wait, so he didn't win the title, though?
No. Apparently that wasn't like...
Oh, so the open challenge was like... Yeah, it was an open challenge, but not for the title.
Apparently no, I'm not so. Stupid. We found that out after he loses.
That's boss. Okay.
So the highlights... there was a couple, actually, surprisingly, but still not major highlights. But
I'm going to refuse every one of them. Let's go.
Garza versus Gulak.
Bullshit.
No! So I thought it was good to see these two getting some screen time.
Totally disagree. Bullshit.
Fuck off. I don't like what has happened so far leading up to this. The whole, rose up the arse and subsequent rose down the throat weird thing that's happening with Garza.
Every rose has its thorn.
Up your ass, boy. It is uncomfy. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not a fan of the execution per se, but to see more of Garza and Gulak on my screen it's a nice little break from the 3 hours of shite. So yeah, it's a highlight for me.
Okay.
Randy Orton vs Kofi Kingston. These two have got pretty good chemistry. We've known this since way back when, and obviously the subsequent things that have happened off the back of that, when they should have had a feud but didn't. So yeah, I don't know. I was a fan. Although,
you know what I'm not a fan of?
Go on.
This massive tonal shift in Randy Orton. Like,
well,
you've
you
got Riddle
say
going
that.
to him, oh, apologize. Like, this is a man who set someone on fire. Do you really think he goes around issuing apologies?
But he didn't apologize, and also to add
I know, but
the
why would you even
fire.
ask him?
No,
A little psycho.
why can't I get this analogy right? To add fuel to the fire, not fire to the flames or flames to the fire. That doesn't make sense. But to add fuel to the
But then the
fire.
flames get higher.
Oh, see, not right.
I
Okay,
feel like
but
that was a
still,
song lyric somewhere.
probably. But it was teased that Orton may eventually turn on Riddle. Imagine if that happens.
Why have we never had a burning ring of fire
It's
match?
almost like we wouldn't have a tag team that broke up and turned on each other before. That'd be something new.
I know that would be new and unusual.
Yeah.
But follow me on this thought journey though, Carl. Because my head went to that song by Johnny Cash. Why have we never had a burning ring of fire match? Why has it never been called? Feels like the song's right there.
Maybe copyright issues, possibly. I don't know.
Nah, screw copy. As we know from Cody Rhodes, screw copyright issues.
mean,
Just say what you want.
I also don't really want to see another wrestler go down, down, down on another one, and then the flames get higher.
But it burns.
Yeah. But still. So that was a highlight, in my opinion. So the next one, Sheamus versus Ricochet. I don't know what's happened to Sheamus. I think, there was a point in time where he was like, oh my God, Sheamus, this guy is awful. And then suddenly a fucking switch was flipped and he puts on nothing but fucking exceptional matches for what
I
seems
think
to be.
this is a clear example, right, of someone who is just there and he will do what he's asked, right? When you get this 50-50 booking in WWE, when he's someone who can be so fucking shocking on one brand and he gets moved over and put in better situations and he's able to work in better situations. I think he's a professional through and through, and he'll just do what they tell him to do. And I think that's some of the problem, really. I was like, I want you to be on SmackDown and throw a strop about Jeff Hardy getting a promo for coming back, even though most everyone gets that. Like, okay, sure, I'll throw a strop, and I'll yell at Michael Cole for 5 minutes. But in Raw, in these matches, he's looking like a fucking beast. Let's do this.
He is. Like literally for the past few months, he has looked fucking awesome. So again, another fantastic show from Sheamus.
Let's be honest, it's pretty good we're seeing Ricochet on Raw. I thought he might have booked himself right off of TV for a little bit with his tweets for it lately.
Yeah, that'll happen eventually. Enough backlash, not to WrestleMania, but
backlash is gone now. We're done with that. No zombies.
And my final highlight of the night, Nikki Cross. She's there.
I must admit, it was pretty cool to see her as a lumberjack.
I mean, exactly. So, after so much time away from the main screen and obviously cutting some very impassioned and very real promos around her thoughts about that, to see her just pop up on an episode of Raw and as part of the Lumberjacks and actually have a pretty fucking decent spot in the match, I was happy because I think she deserves it and she's a wonderful performer and she's a wonderful character and I want to see more of her, and this was putting us on the path for that, I think.
Yeah, you're damn right. And honestly, Nikki is she's awesome. Be great to speak to her.
Eventually, one day, hopefully, please.
One day.
Now onto the O'Shites, and even though there's less than the highlights, that doesn't make it a good episode of Raw. Because I've only called out the really polarizing things, but. So, firstly, Alexis Playground and the involvement with the women's tag team division. I don't know. I just think I don't care. I said that like last week.
Damn it, we still haven't set me auto up, have we? This is the exact moment I would have used that. But it all was bullshit.
Like, it was. I don't get it because I don't get why she would be involved with the whole tag division, and then I don't really get the whole thing around she gets involved in the match, but by putting fire in there, and I don't know. I'm kind of done with it already, which is such a shame.
And when did she go from like being the Fiend's like ward or mentor, if you will, to like channeling it in a cane and just setting fire up everywhere, whatever?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like,
not good. But another O'Shite, Anthony. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Bobby Lashley, is he the Godfather now? Because literally he came out with a bunch of hoes. And
Well,
people
no,
may
no,
look at
no,
me and
no, no.
go,
We're a
hang
PG
on.
product, and we're in 2021. He came out with a bunch of strong, confident women, Carl.
I mean, yeah, maybe. But still, what the fuck was that? Like, that was literally Godfather's gimmick. He came out with a bunch of women, no explanation other than they were just like, we're a bunch of women
I
and we
know.
like Bobby.
He's
And it's
like,
like,
he come out like the Godfather if the Godfather had to stick up his ass.
yeah,
Because
that was
he's
awful.
still rigid as fuck, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He's not enjoying his moments, but
I don't like
I don't
literally
know, man.
like hopefully you can see some of my pain now with Bobby. Like I don't get it. He can't talk. He's average in the ring and cool. He's worked here for a while and he's gone away and come back and he's got a decent story, but still he's not fucking delivering on what he needs to deliver because he can't speak. And now they give him a fucking Godfather gimmick. It's just it's
And you
bad.
know
It's
what, Carl?
awful.
Rumor has it that he shaves his hair because he has to, because he's going bald. Just FYI, it's not a style choice.
Oh, the more you know, the
I mean,
more
that
you know.
rumor come from me. I've just made it up, but it's probably true.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair, he doesn't have any eyebrows, so I don't know whether he's got some kind of form of alopecia, maybe.
Well, now I feel
Um,
bad,
well, yeah, you're a dickhead, so
Carl.
you should. That's fine bringing up. No, but still. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what were they trying to pull with this whole segment of bringing random women with them?
I know. I'll be honest. This is up there with like, well, Damien's boring as fuck. Should we put him in a hot tub with a load of women?
Yeah, exactly. It's
And then just as a kicker, should we move Damien to the main roster while simultaneously firing some of those women? Because that's a good move.
I
Nice
mean
one,
that
WWE.
that
Fuck
pissed
you
me off.
guys.
It didn't make the news this week for whatever reason, but Brandy Lauren was one of the people that were fired.
Brandy Lauren, the only shot she got was being in a hot tub with Damian Priest. He moves to fucking Raw and she moves to the unemployment line.
Phew.
Fucking bad move that.
Um,
Utter
so
bastards.
my final O'Shite of the night for Raw was Rick O'Shea.
We
Literally
called this in
coming
season 1 when we were
to
shit
life.
at this. We're probably still shit at this, but
So
even so.
we said, wouldn't it be funny if Ricochet was actually Rick O'Shea and he was an Irish character? And so finally they got around to listening to the episode and went, let's put him in Sheamus's Irish gear. So he came out
And
in
in
his
some
little
sort of
Irish hat.
unusual parallel, over on SmackDown, we had Shinsuke stealing someone else's gimmick as well. Weirdly.
What is it about people stealing hats and stealing gimmicks?
I don't know.
Who
It's
knows?
no wonder, really, that who was it? Was it Chelsea Green who spoke about receiving people's random shit in a bin bag?
I mean, so many
With
people.
so many people stealing each other's stuff, right? It's no wonder you don't know what you're going to get in your bin bag of mystery when you leave WWE.
Bin bag of mystery.
Bin bag of mystery.
Yeah, that was the show, Anthony. I'm toying between giving it a 2 and a 1.5, and talking through it tonight, I have to give it a 1.5. I think.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm going to sit right there with you on a 1.5.
Yeah,
It doesn't get much better.
it's weird, really, because it was one of the better episodes of Raw. But still, it's not much of a
What
comparison.
have we become? What have I become?
My
Sorry,
shitty friend.
doing a lot of Johnny Cash today.
That's it. But still,
And yes, I think it was a Nine Inch Nails song, but whatever.
yeah, well, it was better. It was better as a Johnny Cash song, wasn't it?
I agree. Let's turn this into a music podcast.
And why not? A2theK at the at the headphone. I don't know. Yeah.
There's something there. Hang on.
A2theK the music.
About A2theK dot MP3. We'll just be as simple as that.
Nice. I like it. I like it. But I don't like Raw, and that's where we leave off. So 1.5 for me. I think it was a better episode of Raw, but that isn't really saying too much, unfortunately. So yeah, that was the show.
Nice.
Move on.
Okay. So let's see if I can time this, Carl, unless you've already done it. Well, let's talk about NXT. And like magic, we're going to change the set. You ready? Have you already done it?
No, I'm not definitely haven't changed back. Whoa!
Did we time it?
You
Did it
did.
work?
You did.
Nice.
On point.
Okay, I'll try again on SmackDown. Okay. So NXT, Carl. Let's talk NXT. As far as the card went, we opened the night with Zoe Stark going up against Toni Storm, with Zoe Stark taking the win. Surprisingly, we saw a vignette of sorts, hyping up the return of, let's call it Balor Cross 2. And they named it Prime Target for some reason, but essentially it was a hype package. And no, we'll talk about it later. It's fine. So we did a hype package. We then saw Jake Atlas going up against Cameron Grimes, with Jake Atlas taking the win. We saw Killian Dane going up against Alexander Wolf, with Killian Dane taking the win. We saw Legado del Fantasma going up against the combination of Tim Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, with Legado del Fantasma taking the win. We saw Saray going up against Elias, with Saray taking the win. We saw the newly formed Hit Row of Ashanti Adonis and Top Dollar going up against Tony Nese and Davari, with Hit Row taking the win. And then we closed the night out with a steel cage match for the North American title, Carl, with Johnny Gargano going up against Bronson Reed, with Bronson Reed taking the win and the fucking title.
What?
That was the card. Loads going on. What a stacked night we had. And do you know what? Highlights wise, straight away, let's go into it. The main event. Fucking banger of a match. Well deserved by Bronson Reed. These two have got so much chemistry together, but my God, Bronson Reed, for someone who, I'll admit, when he first come into it, I was like, I'm not seeing it. He seemed a bit clunky. You might recall he went up against Karrion Kross quite early on in his NXT tenure, if you will. And Karrion Kross sort of dominated him and everything seemed a little bit clunky. And I was like, I'm not big on this guy. This guy's done nothing but week after week prove why he should be here and why he should be a fucking star. And I'm so glad he won the North American title. He so deserves it. And this was a banger of a match. What did you think, Carl?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
No,
so
I kid. Yeah, I think it was. I'm not a huge fan of Bronson Reed. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm also less of a fan of Gargano having that belt.
Not happy. You should be a fan of Bronson Reed. Everyone should be a fan of Bronson Reed.
No,
he's fucking awesome.
No, he's not. He's
he
average.
Fucking is.
But I feel like Gargano.
Put him on the main roster. He'll shine, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't need the belt right now, so I was glad to see.
You know what? I'll give you that. He didn't need the belt when he fucking won it either. Let's be honest.
Well, exactly. so
this is exactly where it should be.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're totally right about that. Other highlight, Carl. Toni Storm. Just want to give a shout out. Obviously, she didn't win the match due to shenanigans, but Toni Storm, hell of a match. You know, she's just proven week in, week out. I mean, to be honest, we should have already known it. She was in NXT UK. She was NXT UK Women's Champion. She was awesome then, and she's awesome now. But this was just a really good match. The pair of them worked incredibly well together, and I think this is exactly what it needed to do. It helped push Zoe Stark. It helped further the feud, and she just was really impressive to me in this match. And I just wanted to give a shout out to her for that. Like, her in-ring work is on point. To talk like the kids these days. Mm-hmm. No, you're not feeling it. You don't even like NXT.
I mean, I am feeling it, but at the same time, she shouldn't have lost because fuck Zoe Stark. Like, Toni Storm is the biz. So
I know, but the it wasn't like she lost. Like, she didn't lose straight, did she? Let's be honest. So
well, she lost.
Whatever. And the last highlight for me, Carl, was actually the hype package, if you will, the Prime Target. Just because it actually made you at least slightly care about Karrion Kross and Finn Balor going up. Like, I think they did exactly what WWE always do. They put a really good hype package together, and they actually get you a little bit invested. I remember doing the same thing with Ciampa and Gargano the 7th time they fought, and I'm like I don't care. And then they put a hype package together. And I'm like, actually, I'm a little hyped. This, do you know what they're doing with these things? They are really very. We've mentioned it time and time again, Carl. They're very good at production. They know what they're doing with these things, and I have to call it a highlight because this is exactly what this did. This built it up, and you know, all the way they executed it, the way you got to see Balor watching the previous match, and you got to see Karrion Kross watching the previous match, and you got to see them talking about everything, and talking about what, you know, the sort of, you get to see them being tactical almost, and you get to see other people's opinions on it. I don't know, the whole thing just helped me at least get a little bit invested in this, as much as I really want Pete Dunne, Karrion Kross. That's the match for me. But we've got to go through Balor and Kross again. Fair enough. And I don't know. Whilst I'm not overly enamoured on the match itself, for the second time around anyway. The prime target or the vignette was particularly good, well put together, as I've come to expect from WWE, to be honest.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I'll agree. I think they are masters of putting together promo packages. There's no denying that. And I think for someone who wasn't really keen on seeing this again, it did a good job of making me go, okay, yeah, I'll watch it.
Cool. I am a little annoyed with Balor in particular, that it's like this whole thing of like, I don't know, how do you put it? I think this is probably just the character he's going for, so I'm not like, I'm not trying to be too bitchy about it, but like this whole thing of like, oh, I'm done with the demon and that. It's not like he said that in the vignette, but it like this whole was like, have you come back to NXT just to be this superior twat, essentially? But again, I imagine that's the character, so I don't know. But it doesn't sell me on it, and it makes me want to see the likes of Pete Dunne and that even more, because I'm like, yeah, you've been to the main roster and you've come back. Like, let's maybe build up some other people, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it was a highlight, so I'm not going to moan too much. But let's move on to the O'Shite, shall we? I won't talk too much on this one, Carl. I'll obviously. I imagine you might have a couple of things to say, but the first one I'm going to mention quite briefly is Jake Atlas going up against Cameron Grimes, with Jake Atlas taking the win. Why did he take the win? Obviously because of the shenanigans involving Ted DiBiase, which we've kind of moaned about in the news. For those of you who are only listening to This Week in Wrestling and not the news, you fucking lunatics. The suggestion is that the $1 million belt will be making a return, and this is ultimately where it's heading. But I just, it's one of them where there's still, although they're clearly going somewhere with him and Ted DiBiase, this can't lead to a match. So this still feels a little directionless for me, and I just don't see the point in giving Atlas the win just through shenanigans. I don't know, it just seemed a little bit useless.
The only way they can turn this around is if they debut someone who is managed by DiBiase, who turns out to be a fucking bona fide legend who wins that belt. Which I can't see them doing.
I will eat every fucking word I've said if Ted DiBiase Jr. comes back. I will eat every fucking word I've said if that's what happens. I really will. But it won't happen, so it's fine. No. My next O'Shite, Carl, and I know I shouldn't do this, but this is due to outside forces, not necessarily what happened on NXT, but it was the match between Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf. Now, on paper, this wasn't too bad a match. It was probably a little bit too quick. This was something that could have paid off quite well. We could have given them a bit more time, but we didn't. That's fine. But it was the fact that after the match, Wolf got kicked out of Imperium. He got battered by the remaining two members, who will remain nameless because I can't remember their names. And what do we get after that, Carl? What do we get on top of that? Well, we get the fact that he has now been released from the company as well. Fuck him. Just very tasteless. Like, not even a week after, and we already know he's not with WWE anymore. I don't know. Wasn't too keen on this at all.
I honestly don't get their stance on this kind of stuff. Obviously, we saw it this week, but we saw it with Peyton Royce or Billy Kay or whatever at WrestleMania. We didn't like. I think it was Billy, wasn't it, who was actually on the show, and then like literally the next week it was gone.
I know. It's just we're doing a story. No, not doing a story. Fuck it. Like, wow. So out of nowhere, and
so
it's really
flippant.
random and weird.
But yeah, I mean, the match itself was kind of like did we really expect anything more of it anyway? And then it was like, okay, now it makes sense. So yeah. I don't agree with it, but still.
And my last O'Shite, Carl, and this is again nothing really complain about the match specifically, but you get where I'm coming from. It was the match between Sarray and Elias, and this is because Sarray has been there for a few weeks now. She was hyped up by William Regal. She made a good debut, and we're still having matches where she goes up against someone and wins. And it's like, okay, are we going to build to any sort of meaningful story or anything we care about? I still feel this wasn't exactly a squash. It was an okay enough match. It was somewhere between squash and a normal match, I suppose. But I don't know. I'm just a bit like, well, she still hasn't really done anything. She's just having matches with random people with no real story around it. And obviously, we're big fans of storytelling, you and I, Carl. So specifically for us, it's a bit like, well, can we not build into something now? I mean, I feel like you're trying to build her up by having all these wins to maybe be legitimately an argument for the title. But obviously, we're not going to jump into that too soon. So maybe have some sort of feud with someone. But yeah, it's only a minor gripe, but I'm just a bit like, well, maybe we build into something now instead of just having random matches.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cool. Okay. So that was it. That was all I need to say about NXT, Carl. And for a rating, I would probably give it a 2.5, very middle of the road. And this would have been much higher than that in some senses because the main event I thought was brilliant. There was a lot of solid matches on the card, but as we tend to get with NXT, and nowhere near as bad as it has been in the past, but the storytelling for me was a little bit lacking, let's say. We had a few random matches like Grimes and Atlas, Surya and LA. Dana Wolf had a bit of history there, but it wasn't exactly something they built up. It was just that they happened to have had a bit of history there. So there was a fair bit of like lack of story to it for me. But again, still a solid week, so I'll give it a 2.5.
2 for me.
2.
Yeah, I can never seem to agree with you on NXT. I think I just care less about it. I'm just not bought. I'm just not bought into any of the main feuds.
They're not even rivaling with your favorite anymore, so can't you give them a bit of credit?
Don't like them. Okay, they put on decent matches, but there's nothing else to them. They are very much an indie darling, in my opinion. And
you're an indie darling.
Your face is in the fucking indie darling. So yeah, so that's my opinion. Get to fucking 2. I should be happy.
Fine.
2. So I can't wait to see what you say about Dynamite now as we go into that. But the card that we had this week, kicking off the show, we had Christian Cage making his return after a couple of weeks of hiding, if you will, taking on Matt
I didn't even know he
Sydal.
was gone, to be honest.
Well, yeah, he wasn't really, but he just wasn't really there. So at the same time, so yeah, so Christian Cage took on Matt Sydal, and Cage picked up the win. We had the Acclaimed taking on John Moxley and Eddie Kingston, with Moxley and Kingston picking up the win. We had Hikaru Shida taking on Rebel, not Reba, with Shida picking up the win. Omega tries to get Cassidy to withdraw from his match at Double or Nothing to make it just a one-on-one instead of a triple threat. Cassidy ain't too keen on the idea. The Inner Circle responds to Pinnacle's challenge, and yeah, basically we get a match set up for Double or Nothing.
Cool, yeah, good.
Stadium Stampede 2. We get the NWA Women's title on the line with Serena Deeb taking on Red Velvet. Deeb defends in what was a pretty decent match, to be fair. We had Anthony Ogogo taking on Austin Gunn, and Ogogo.
Wow, Austin on the main show. Crazy.
Austin on the main show and getting knocked the fuck out as well by Anthony Ogogo, which was all cool. Miro comes out and talks, and he ends up getting interrupted by Lance Archer. Seems like that is the direction we are going to be going for Double or Nothing. And the main event of the evening, that's it, Anthony, we have to say, Griff Garrison is a main eventer.
Yes.
Called it.
Fucking called that shit.
Sooner than we thought, but friend of the show, Griff Garrison, as part of the Varsity Blondes with Brian Pillman Jr., took on the Young Bucks in the main
We've
event.
got this new lady with them whose name escapes me, but the Varsity Blondes is a trio now, isn't it?
I mean, trio is a strong word. They've got some weird ballet who's like a cheerleader gimmick. Someone who's
she's not a ballet. She's a women's wrestler, Carl.
She's got the name Hart, but she's not really a Hart, so it offends me. But still. So yeah, obviously the Young Bucks will go on to defend, and they do. So yeah, all in all, pretty decent show in my opinion. Highlights: so solid opening match. Decent chemistry between Christian and Matt Sydal. Not one of the better opening matches that we've had, but I still can't turn my nose up at it. I think it was still decent, and Christian can still go. Sydal has still got a lot of stuff in his repertoire, and the two of them seem to have good chemistry. So,
if this just in, two old guys fight each other, speaking of AEW.
Oh, don't be that guy. Yeah, it was not one of the better ones, but it was still good. We had obviously
Trying to be a dick, and I yanked my own headphones off.
the
Fucking
Varsity
tip.
Blondes get a promo segment. Not only are they main event, they get a fucking promo segment. And me personally, I thought they did a really good job. You know, like firstly, go Griffey boy. Like seriously,
Yeah. Go ahead, Griff.
speaking to him, fucking a few months ago, and just seeing where he was, where he wanted to go, and the things he wanted to achieve, and to see him just fucking tackling them all one by one. I want to fight Jericho. Done. I want a fucking main event. Done.
Dawn.
Like honestly, this
Ledge.
guy,
Ledge in the making.
fair play.
And you know
Absolute.
what, Griff? I know you're probably listening. That's not true. But I've noticed, and we've never talked about it, Carl, but I'll mention it now. We had a comment on our interview where they mentioned that they likened him to a young Adam Copeland. What do you think of that comparison? Because actually, the more I think about it, the more I think, yeah, I kind of get that.
Of Edge. I mean, JR himself said it. He said on an episode of Dynamite back in the day, he said exactly that. He is going to
Well,
be,
what do you think of that comparison? Or do you see a young Edge in him, or do you think because he's obviously very talented? Don't get me wrong. So it's no disrespect when I say, like, what do you think? Because, like, I think that is you should be totally sort of chuffed with that comparison. But do you see it yourself, or do you see something different but still awesome, or what are you thinking?
For me, the way I say that comparison is similar to what I thought when I first saw Edge and Christian, which was I thought, okay, this guy's pretty cool. He's going to be
Like, he's
he's
the
going to be
talented one. Is that what you thought?
no, but like I saw him and thought, okay, he's a tag team guy, cool. Yeah, he's pretty good. And obviously we had TLC and stuff like that. I was like Edge and Christian, a great tag team. I never thought too much of it about, can this guy go on to become a main event star? Now, knowing from, what we know about Edge, looking at Griff, he absolutely can. He's got everything that you need. He's got the
Yes.
size, he's
You
got
know
the
what?
look, the physique,
Griff
the
Griff would do
charisma.
a fucking. He would do a solid cutter if they let him have a cutter. If
Yeah.
if let's say DDP let him have the diamond cutter, he'd do a solid cut at him.
I mean, he is very athletic. We spoke about it in the interview. I think you called out his ability to do that fucking epic splash from like the middle of the ring.
Ah,
So,
it's boss. Yeah.
I think he's definitely got the talent. He's definitely got the capability, and I think if we can learn anything from watching Edge and his rise in WWE is that someone you look at as a tag team guy can absolutely go on and become a main event star. So, I can see that happening for Griff, and I think he's got the right attitude. He's got such humility about himself as well. You know, I can't see him kind of derailing his own, opportunities or his end goal basically. So yeah, I would love to see it, and yeah, fingers crossed he can get there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
damn right.
wonderful match.
We're on Team Griff.
We are wonderful match and wonderful promo in this instance. I think very rare that they get the opportunity to speak, and they did, and it was good, and it is A2theK approved. Speaking of promos, Inner Circle. Do you know what? You can say what you want. Fuck off, Anthony. You can say what you want. Pinnacle earlier in the night cut a promo, and it was meh. It was average. The Inner Circle promo I thought surpassed Pinnacles by a mile this week. And it's very rare for someone like MJF to be outdone and overshone in a promo, but it was Jericho and the rest of the guys who made me think, I really want to see this fucking rematch because we've seen it already, a couple of times now, and it's like, oh, are we still doing this? And on the surface, you're like, well, why should we care? But I don't know. Jericho showed once again that he is one of the best promos in the game, and single-handedly got me brought back into it. You can pull all the fucking faces you want, but that's my thoughts. That's my opinion, and we'll get to that when you give your shitty rating at the end that no one cares about. So you had that. The next one I want to talk about, Anthony, pull all the faces you want. Serena Deeb versus Red Velvet, I thought was great. Honestly,
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I think it's weird because Serena Deeb I've always thought was so fucking good. And it's only recently, I've seen a lot of comments online, and I've studied her a bit more, and they're absolutely right. She is an old school technician, similar to like an old school Bret Hart. And obviously, you know what a fan I am of Bret Hart, so that's probably the highest of fucking praise I can give anyone, but people who've said it are right. I think she's so meticulous in what she does. She sells really well. She makes everything that she does matter and count, and it's it makes such a difference. I think when you've got people up there who are doing fucking 820 fucking splashes off the rope every fucking like 3 minutes, and you've got someone like
Hey, let's
Serena
not talk
Deeb.
about the Young Bucks.
Hey,
Kidding.
but it's true. Like AW they get a lot of flack around this whole kind of over the top and too silly indie like stuff with what it is they
I
do.
will
But
say, like AEW probably is. Wow, I nearly said WWE. That's not good. AEW probably there may be a slight. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people make out, but there may be a slight merit in like they try and do big stunts to attract the viewers and stuff.
mm,
Because I think when you get into wrestling is when you start to appreciate people like Deeb who know really what they're doing in the ring,
yeah,
and you get to appreciate the sort of fine art to it, I suppose. But like again, it's that whole casual viewer thing that WWE like to do, where you go, we want to like draw people in. We don't want them to have to pay attention to the product. We want to draw the eyes in, so you go for the big spots. But no, I couldn't agree more. I think, like you say, she's very meticulous in what she does.
I mean, for me, it's one of them. I think, some naivety on my part of seeing her as part of the straight edge society back in WWE as someone who's just like, oh, okay, they're a character, but they probably can't wrestle that well. And I've seen stuff from Serena.
And to be honest, that's even more annoying, isn't it? WWE have got her
Yeah,
and they're like, yeah, I mean, you might be able to wrestle, but we're going to shave your head. And she's
exactly.
like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. And going from that to who she is today, I think, I've seen one or two excellent matches, but this was the one that really brought it home for me as being like, you know what? She is something different. She's something for, a women's division that it sorely needs. And it is that kind of technician, kind of, ring general, who's been around, seen a lot of stuff and can make you really invested in things without just being, the monster or the underdog or, someone
Or the
doing a
Murder
million
Hawk,
fucking
or
splashes. So yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, massive
I
props.
no, I couldn't agree more, to be honest. I think slightly unrelated, but I'm quite surprised she's still the NWA Women's Champion, and I'm only surprised at that because she is, as I understand it, contracted to AEW. So it's like, okay,
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean, they seem to be building up another program again with her and Thunder Rosa. So whether or not Thunder gets it back, which obviously
But I
will
mean,
be a great
let's
match,
be
but
honest, we're gonna have Thunder in AEW, aren't we? And if we don't, I'm gonna be like, well, moaning about it. Probably that's what I do.
I mean, you moan about everything, so it's no major difference. But yeah, so Serena Deeb is awesome. And speaking about awesome, um, again, you can put your thumbs down if you want. I am a big fan of
Ah,
Anthony Ogogo.
yeah,
And you
I
might
mean, he's British. He's British, so we're
maybe
gonna love.
you don't like him because he has a H in his name and you don't. And people call you Anthony, even though you're an Anthony. But still,
Look, I'm not gonna judge him for that. That's fine.
that's
If he wants to be an Anthony, he can.
it.
But
That's it.
you know, let's face
Fact
it,
is, there will
you
only
can't
ever
take
be
Tony because Khan's already took that. So he has to be
exactly. There
something.
will only ever be one fantastic Anthony, and that's all we can say. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Your words hurt, Cal.
no, I mean, it's not about you.
Oh, oh, I thought you meant a go-go because you're a Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I am, but he's an Anthony, and Anthony and
That's true.
everything.
Yeah, I take your point.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, honestly, I think Ogogo is gonna a go far in the business. I think he's got everything you can ever want to be a bona fide star in the business. He's got size, he's got the
I've
look,
said it
he's
before
got
and I say it again. I really, really, really hope that's why Cody is currently being the person he is and the character he is, with the aim to push this guy and elevate this guy. Something shocking. If he does not take the win, I'm going to be so pissed off. I really
I
am.
mean, I would like to think, and touch wood as I talk about this, but you know, Brandy is like ready to pop right now with his daughter, and so I would like to think a go fucks him up at Double or Nothing to the point where he's not coming back for months because he's basically going on paternity leave. So
let's face it, what a better way to give that man the rub
yeah,
than him putting him out of commission for months as well. Like kayfabe
literally,
wise,
that's what I
that would
want
be
to see.
boss.
I want to see a
Yeah.
go-go literally causing bodily harm to Cody. And I think if he does that,
I
people
mean,
who are naysayers of Cody
Cody
need to
can
just
do a
be put
contract
away.
sign and come out with a busted forehead. So, like, he's definitely going to bust him open.
I mean, he sneezed at one point and his fucking head exploded. So you never know with that guy. Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
that I've heard rumors Brandy doesn't want him in the labor room because of that. Like, oh
Yeah,
no, I'm busted open. It's like, it's not your time,
exactly.
Cody.
It's weird because Brandy is so scared of blood and she's not bothered about herself, but basically she's bothered about Cody. Just fucking yeah, that's it. It's gonna set her off. Um, but no, so I think definitely a go-go. I think he can a go far and be a wonderful talent for AEW. And I think if Cody can do the right thing here and put him over, then he's got everything that he needs to go on to be a future star, in my opinion. So hopefully we
Agreed.
see that. The next highlight, holy fuck, I have written here, out of nowhere. How did this happen? I am pumped for Archer versus Miro, and I don't know how it happened, right?
I
So
know it's weird how they took two men with absolutely no direction and then made something like this. And I'm not
like
even saying that sarcastically, it sounded it. But let's be honest, Miro, and I've said before, it's not necessarily a bad thing he went thrust straight into the main event scene, but he had no direction. And Archer, I've expressed how ridiculous he was when he come in with his exaggerated, made up Murderhawk monster names and was just going around beating up the locker room. I think we
the
both agree
thing,
that it was, bit directionless again.
the thing for me with Archer was, he was almost Big Show territory of you could never know which week he was going to be a good guy or a bad guy at one point, and there was a time
Face
where
turn,
he came
heel
out and he
turn.
was like, okay, he's a good guy now for a couple of weeks, and then straight away they fucked him up for like a solid 2 or 3 weeks, and now it seems like he's back again as the good guy, but Miro is also pretty over, even though he's acting more the bad guy. So,
I think neither of them want to. They don't even know what tunnel to come out of, mate. It's ridiculous.
well, exactly, there's going to
I
burst out
think
the
Big Show
fucking.
gets really anxious before he comes out on AEW because he doesn't know what tunnel to come out on anymore.
I mean, that's the reason he tends to come up through the ring half the time because he just doesn't know. But yeah,
That's
I
the
don't know.
same with Cody. Cody never knows, so he just floats down.
I just think for two guys who are not known for their promo prowess, they did some fantastic stuff here. I think Miro telling fucking Jake there ain't no amount of yoga in the world that's gonna save him. Obviously, I'm a bit of a
Nice.
mark at the minute based on the fact we just interviewed DDP, but still,
Yeah.
that was just like, okay, that's fucking cool. But like even Lance Archer, he fucking brought it, man. And for someone who, as you've said, we've slated him for the whole Murderhawk monster and who is he and what is his character? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? He did
That's
everything
fair.
he needed to
I'm
do.
all
He
for
hit all the notes
ridiculousness in
this week.
wrestling, and some people will be like, "Oh, it is, it's wrestling. You expect it." But like when he was going around backstage and he's like throwing people into the roofs and stuff like that,
Yeah,
it
it's
just
too
felt a
much.
little bit too much.
And
Yeah.
you know what? Still to this day, every time he comes out and Jake comes out going, like trying to stop him, it's like at this point, you know, we don't believe that anymore because it's never once he's bypassed you and done it like anything. So it's like, okay, calm down.
Yeah, he
So
was getting to the point. He was kind of like that one who's like, he talk a big game, but then it's like, oh, just let it go. We don't know what to do.
yeah,
And then they get up in the face and say, oh yeah, they didn't know what to do.
yeah, exactly. So that was awesome. And my final highlight of the week: who the fuck is Griff Garrison? I'll tell you who. He's a main eventer, baby.
Yeah,
Former guest on this podcast. He said what he wanted to do. He set out his goals, and boy, did he fucking achieve them. Got out to be a main eventer on Dynamite against the Young Bucks, teaming with Brian Pillman Jr. And yeah, I don't know. I just think between these guys, the acclaimed, the future of the tag team division is looking pretty fucking good now in AEW, in my opinion. But I don't know. I think the Bucks were always going to win this. We were never going to see the Varsity Blondes as the tag team champions anytime soon. But my God, did they take it to the Young Bucks and put on a fantastic main event. I was bowled over throughout, and yeah, it was just epic. And I think obviously I've got a soft spot for Griff for being on the show and
of course, yeah.
knowing about him and about what he wants to achieve and stuff, and kind of living vicariously through him, achieving his goals. So that added that extra bit of, sweet sauce to the.
Must admit, it
Um,
was great to see him main events.
That was
Really
it.
was.
I think at the time we interviewed him, he was kind of in obscurity a little bit. He was just starting to form the tag team, and it was like he was
I
made,
think, in all fairness, most of his work was on Dark and so on like that.
exactly. And
Yeah,
now there you go. To main event to show that the main show is exactly what he wanted, what he set out to do, and fucking hell, he's done it. So a
yeah.
big cheers to him. Obviously, we followed up the main event with Moxley and Kingston coming out. They are the new number one contenders after winning
Okay,
earlier on in the night.
sure.
So yeah,
Why not?
rankings matter apparently, but no.
Of
So
course they do.
they've won a few matches, so yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, so obviously I'm still interested to get to see the Young Bucks versus Moxley and Omega at Double or Nothing. So even though it was a bit like unnecessary maybe, at the same time I'm looking forward to that as a match at the pay-per-view. So they were my highlights in terms of the Oshites. Team Taz are back to being happy families again, Anthony, which seems
Okay.
a bit odd after the previous week's worth of kind of, they're falling apart and, Cage is siding with Sting and all this good stuff. It just kind of seems a bit like, okay, none of that happened and they're still happy together. So it's kind of like,
Like, wait, don't do it. We've no direction for this yet.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, feels a bit underdone, if you will. The next one, I'm going to say it again. I said it last week. They changed it up this week.
I'm gutted. I'm gutted because, like, it's still shit.
Right. John Moxley does not need or deserve Wild Thing as a theme song. And I know it's a different version, a bit more gritty, a bit more edgy, maybe, but still, it does not compete with just, the fucking original Moxley theme. And people have said this is the theme for Kingston and Moxley as a tag team, which, okay, they are a bit ridiculous, so maybe you could get it to a degree, but
No,
I don't know. I think it just needs to not be associated with them. And there's a way to spend your money on licensing for music, and this is not it.
totally agree. Totally agree. Drop it. Drop it now.
Just drop it. Drop it like it's fucking shit. That's what I say.
Let it go.
Um,
Just let it go.
and
It was a
lastly,
fun week.
it was a
Sorry,
fun
go.
week. And lastly, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, I'm not really into Sting and Darby teaming up again against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page because I just don't care. And I think
Yeah,
Sting and
I
Darby,
think don't care is like the nail on the head. It's like that's exactly the reason it's pointless.
yeah, Sting coming in and being like, an advocate or, a part-time manager, you know, whatever for Darby was decent to begin with. And now I feel like it's okay, it's a little bit
I
overdone. I enjoyed the match they had, but now we're going to get another match, which is an actual wrestling match between them. And I don't think I want to see Sting in the ring anymore.
No, I actually worry a little bit for Darby as well.
Mm.
Believe it or not, Carl. As much as you speculate, I don't like the guy.
Who are you?
Um, he's lost the TNT title now, and I actually don't think they have a direction for him, which is concerning.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's worrying that they haven't got directions at the minute for Darby, Scorpio Sky, or Ethan Page. Like these guys
Mm,
who Scorpio Sky was, competing for number one contenderships, less than a year ago. Ethan Page was the guy they brought in as a wild card and was going to set the place on fire, and now he's in a tag team out of
yeah,
nowhere. And Darby, as we know, TNT champion and destined for big things. And they just kind of feel like they are, I don't know, undeservingly lamenting in the mid card
yeah,
almost.
and hopefully that'll all change when they've got more show to have the talent on. But
Oh
right
no,
now,
a wild big show appears.
did someone say more show? Um, but yeah, hopefully when they've got the new second show that's apparently turning up in July, in August is it for the second show? Sorry.
Hmm.
Um, we might see something different, but like right now, it just feels a little directionless because they want to concentrate on. And I don't want to phrase it this way because I'm not discrediting them at all, but like they want to concentrate on the important ones right now.
Yeah,
So like that's why the screen times go into the books and the likes of Miro and that to build up those stories you've got going. But there's just not enough time to tell everyone's story. So maybe this will be a good thing.
truth, truth. So
Truth.
Anthony, I'm going to give Dynamite this week a rating of 3 out of 5 because once again, it was more superior to anything else in the whole of the week. But there was a certain few flaws that just kind of keeps it somewhat middle of the road, but slightly better than that, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
2.5.
Oh, fuck you. Every time I give a
can't give
score,
it a 3. It was good, but I
it's
can't
almost
give it.
like you and me are like, flip flopping between NXT and Dynamite, where you'll give a score and I go 0.5 lower, and then I'll give a score and you'll go 2.5 lower.
Look,
Oh no,
don't
0.5, not 2.5.
hey,
Oh,
don't give the game away here. I base my
Jesus.
scores on my feelings towards the show, and it has nothing to do with what you voted for NXT. There's no competition.
Pious. Sorry.
Elias?
Yeah, Elias. Yeah, Elias.
But no, 2.5. I think I was probably less enamored with the likes of the Inner Circle and Jericho and that. It wasn't bad. It was fine, but nothing I haven't seen
good.
before. I wasn't
It was
as
good.
enamored. So
Okay.
that's probably where it gets a slightly lower rating for me. It was still a solid week, so 2.5, 2.5 for me.
Speaking of solid twos, SmackDown,
So, should we talk about SmackDown? Hang on, have we done the screen yet?
we have. Oh,
Ah,
no, wait, sorry. Go on. I'm going back.
yeah, you ready? Let's talk about SmackDown.
Whoa.
And
I like
nice.
it. I like it.
Okay, so as far as the card goes, Carl, we open the night with we will talk some more on it, but basically a clusterfuck of a promo. Is it a promo? Sonya Deville opened the show, and then a load of shit happened. Anyway, we then have a match between Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, and Bayley going up against Bianca Belair, Natalya, and Tamina, with Baszler, Jax, and Bayley taking the win. We then saw a match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin, with Shinsuke Nakamura taking the win. We then had I guess we'll call it a promo, but a champion parade for Roman Reigns. We then saw Dom Mysterio going up against Bobby Roode, with I didn't write the winner down, but I'm going to say Mysterio because that's usually how it works. And then we end the night with a fatal 4-way, Carl, for the Intercontinental Championship between Apollo, Big E, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn, with Apollo retaining, keeping his title, and it didn't really matter. That was the card. Quite a short card, but quite obviously a long main event match, so, it kind of balances. Highlights, I hear you ask. So, my highlights, Carl, very specifically were for the opening promo was Paul Heyman. So, I'm going to have to do both together. So, I've got an shite for the opening promo because it was a fucking mess. And one thing that you and me always moan about, and it's another thing that happened again this week, was Sonya Deville opened the show. We had various shenanigans with people coming out. We saw Paul Heyman mention that basically Roman is a champion. Everyone else is title holders, which I thought was a particularly nice touch. Heyman proving that he's good on the mic, as always. But ultimately, this opening promo, what was it for? It was to lead to a match that definitely weren't pre-booked at all, Carl. It was to lead to a 3-on-3 between Baszler, Jackson, Bayley, and Belair, Natty, and Tamina. And it was so shoehorned and so fucking cringy and clunky that we had to have Bayley then sort of run down Natty and Tamina as a tag team because why else would she want to fight them? And it was just so fucking lazy and shit. So it gets a no shite in that sense. But I have to highlight Heyman because I think he's fucking awesome.
I mean, I concur. Paul Heyman is one of the best, if not the best, promos in the wrestling business today. And he got a lot of plaudits for his time at Brock, and I think he's a very different guy with Roman. He's
I
not the
agree,
same guy who has to be the mouthpiece, but whenever he does do some talking and he does get involved, he just sprinkles that additional bit of excellence on things.
I must admit I prefer it when your Heyman isn't as frequent. Like when you have to wait, you have to earn your Heyman. I think it's so much better. So that was my highlight. And funnily enough, my other highlight was actually sort of Heyman again, but everyone. And we had a champions parade, which I thought was executed really well. And I've been commending Roman for his work as a heel, but this was a prime example of why he's so good at being a heel at the moment, and he actually has the potential to be a fucking megastar, because he come out with this champions parade essentially to feign humility. He's trying to teach his sons, the right way to do things. So he's not going to come out and big himself up, but he just fortunately had a load of people around him who are going to big him up, and it's just so arrogant. But like obviously with this faint humility, just fucking brilliantly executed in terms of Roman. and his mic skills and his whole work as a heel. And then obviously we're pushing forward with I probably a triple threat, let's be honest. I mean, unfortunately, because we seem to do them a fucking lot. But obviously we had the involvement with Cesaro, which I would love to see again. But we also had Rollins get involved, which again, I really want to see Rollins and Roman Reigns. I think the story and the history is already there and already written. So whatever this leads to, I'll be happy with. So shout out to the Champions Parade and to the potential budding feuds going forward there.
I concur.
Good. So moving on to any other notes you want to make about Roman's current work?
No, I mean, he's being booked as a super dominant guy, which is what he needs to be booked as. And I think having Heyman there, by his side and having the stuff with the Usos and stuff like that, it doesn't make him too boring. There's always enough going on to make you interested in him. And obviously the fact that he's battering everyone at the same time, they've done the best job they have in a while of starting to cement somebody as someone that you actually care about and think, okay, this guy is a formidable force.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it makes me laugh is like you get people moaning about his reliance on the Usos, but that's a storyline because like they're clearly building something with that with Seth not wanting to use the Usos and wanting to win in his own right. So he's actually trying to he's almost as much as he's like the heel at the moment in this in every sense. Even Seth's like he's above doing that. He's not low enough to use people to get his victories. So then that makes that builds the whole thing again, doesn't it? It's like, oh, you think you're better than me, and the whole story's right in itself. And it's like, why he's moaning about this? Of course he's gonna do heel things to win the belt, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I think it's being executed really well at the minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the other side, Carl. I already mentioned the opener, so I won't harp on too much about that. But yeah, particular bugbear when they go, oh yeah, let's randomly book a match at the beginning of the night. One that I believe was already announced before SmackDown even happened, so why they had to pretend like they were booking it randomly, I do not know. I don't know how you feel about this one. I'm intrigued. The debuting Rick Boogs, obviously doing Shinsuke's theme for him and getting involved in the match in some capacity. And what is he like meant to be like a heavy metal Elias? Is that his thing? What was that?
Shit Elias, basically, and Elias is pretty shit. So,
ooh, savage. Elias has brought an album out. Damn it.
Honestly, I love Elias, but he is so fucking far down my pecking order right now that he is shit. And so this guy coming out being imitation Elias, I mean, wow.
But no, because he's got an electric guitar, so he's like heavy metal Elias. He's cool.
Now that you say it, but I mean, what is that? As a character or a gimmick of this guy's come in and he's playing out Shinsuke Nakamura. It's like, wow.
Yeah, because do you remember? I think I want to say it was WrestleMania 20 something, whatever. At one of the WrestleManias, Nikki Strauss, apologies if I'm pronouncing the surname wrong there, played him out on his theme, and everyone was like, "That's awesome!" So they're like, "Well, let's do that again."
I mean, she didn't rock up the next week on fucking SmackDown, did she? And start being a wrestler either. So yeah,
I'll be honest, like, and this isn't like anything against Rick Boogs and his ability to play guitar, but unless you're going to get Lee England Jr. to come in and play the violin, I don't care.
True.
That was awesome when he debuted on SmackDown and he came out and done the violin bit. That was brilliant. What a debut! But this was like kind of out of nowhere as well. Why did he need a particularly flashy entrance now? No idea. And it's something I've moaned about before, Carl, but I really need to talk to you about this. And that is the Baron Corbin getting the shitty end of the stick again, right? Because for some reason, everyone gets a pass doing this. And I've mentioned, you'll be familiar with this because I've mentioned it before with the Mysterios and the like as well. But people, when they fight Baron, even when they're the good guy, because Baron is always the bad guy, obviously, they can do heel things and it doesn't matter. And this was the same again this week. Shinsuke used the distraction to get the victory, but that's not Shinsuke's still the face. Don't worry about it because he did it to Baron, so no one cares. Why is Baron such the whipping boy in that sense? Like, you could literally low blow Baron to get the win, and you'd still be the good guy. Like all the typical bad guy things you can do, and as long as you're fighting Baron, it's totally fine. And what is that? Why is that a thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've made comparisons in the past with like X-Pac Heat and stuff like that, but I think you've quite rightly pulled out that okay, someone might not be that over, but you're really not helping things by the way he's being booked at the minute.
Like,
I don't know,
I'm
it makes
looking,
no
the
sense.
more, like, from my perspective, the more I'm seeing of Baron, I'm like, he should have Sami Zayn's gimmick of this whole conspiracy theory thing, because someone's got it in for him. Like, doesn't matter what they do to the guy, he's just trying to come out and do his job. People are always screwing him over. He never gets the title. Like, he should definitely be paranoid and think someone's out to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, and let's be honest, as an O'Shite, them two fighting over the fucking crown's fucking ridiculous.
Just a bit.
Because we're not going to do another King of the Ring tournament, so we'll have to just fight over the crown.
It's just king of the knobheads at this point, I think.
Nice. And my last O'Shite, Carl, maybe polarizing. A lot of people are keen to see him back. I have no issue with him being back. What I do have issue with is how random it is. We've had weeks and weeks and weeks, not to keep it in suspense, of Aleister Black, Carl, doing random promos, talking shite, as he likes to do. Not that I've got any issue with Aleister Black, honest. So we've had random promo, not targeted at anyone, just talking. And again, no offense to Aleister, but that's what I saw before he went off as well. And then he rocks up, ruins the Fatal 4-Way, screws Big E over, and it's like, okay, cool, get involved, get in the mix, and get involved potentially in the IC title scene, but why? Nothing he did or said over the last few weeks indicated that he was going to go after Big E. I have absolutely no motivation for him going after Big E. And is he friends with Apollo, or is he just out to get anyone? Why did he help Apollo get the victory? None of this was actually answered, because they just wanted Aleister Black to show up and be Aleister Black, and it's like, but you've got to put some reason to that. Like, what? Like, does he not like Big E? Why doesn't he like Big E? I'd have understood more if he went after Kevin Owens, and at least he'd be carrying on what he did before he went off. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but at least that would actually have some story to it. This was just like, I don't like Big E. That one will do. Like, why? Yeah. What was that?
I mean, it made no sense, but I don't think anything that Aleister Black has ever done has made sense.
There's still time, right? Aleister Black could rock up on this week's SmackDown, and he could give a totally articulate reason as to why he went for Big E. Is that going to happen? No. He's probably going to come out. He's probably going to sit down in the ring and ramble a load of shite that kind of akin to Bray Wyatt back in the day when he was Swampy Bray. And it's like, okay, you said a lot of stuff, but seriously, what did you mean? And I feel like that's what we're going to get, but I could do with some motivation here. So it goes in the O'Shites
pile. It feels weird to bring him back as a heel at this point, because anyone who cared, who wanted him back, were clearly big Aleister Black fans. And so they've finally gone, okay, we'll bring him back, but now we're going to be a heel. So the people who hated him anyway and didn't want him back, it's like, well, for fuck's sake. It's probably going to work in a sense, because everyone's just like, oh, no, why is he back?
Yeah. But, I don't know. I'm still not sold. They potentially have time to fix it, but are they going to? Probably not. And that's my last O'Shite, Carl. So as far as the rating goes, again, solid middle-of-the-road week for most all shows, bar Raw, which got worse. But solid middle-of-the-road week here for SmackDown. I'm going to give it a 2.5. It was pretty decent. As far as match quality goes, there was some good promos there, and there was some shit stuff there too. So I think it deserves to land right in the middle.
Well, I'm going to give it a Shinsuke Nakamura with a 2. I don't know. I just think, there wasn't enough good in the show for me. There was some nice parts, but I mean, even from your highlights there's only like 2 real highlights to call out. The rest of the O'Shites were double that. I think everything in between was just very meh. So for me, it was definitely on par with NXT, but I thought it was a weak episode of SmackDown this week.
Agreed. Yeah, but no, I mean, we're only within half a point, so I think it's fair. We're probably in a similar mindset in that sense. But yeah, that was SmackDown, and that was This Week in Wrestling.
And this is some funky people playing us out as we move on to our next segment.
You're watching or listening
to A2theK.
The A2theK.
A2theK. A2theK.
A2theK. These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.